I'm going live. Sorry, it's a little shaky. I wanted to talk about two books that I just read recently, The Psychology of Money and Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So when I say read, I listen to these as audiobooks, but both super insightful. I wanted to share some of those insights because I feel like I know I'm tired of working hard for money without seeing results, and I've struggled with finances in the past and have made a lot of strides recently. But these books had some insights. I wish I had read these books when I was 16, like 20 years ago. So if you feel like you work hard for money and you don't know where it goes, if you feel like you're caught in the rat race, then these are two books that might help. I just want to cover some of the highlights in that. Definitely stay through to the end. I am reading off of some notes here, so I'll just go through these. They're definitely they offer different paths to financial freedom. So today we'll break down the key differences and similarities to help you choose the right path. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is kind of the classic guide to building wealth. It focuses on assets, income generation, and financial education. One of the most intriguing concepts I found in it was working for money versus having money work for you. So a lot of us work for money. We go trade our time for money at our job, day in, day out, at least 5 days a week. I mean, we're trading 5 days of work for 2 days of freedom in most cases. And the key concept of this book is understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. Kind of early on in the book, Robert Kiyosaki, well, he has his rich dad and his poor dad, and he doesn't say he doesn't diminish his poor dad because his poor dad's mindset still had a lot of value in his learning. He took elements from both, but it was his actual dad was not the one who acquired wealth and held on to money over time, and his friend's dad, who he also spent a lot of time with and got to mentor with, was the one who ran multiple businesses and found ways of generating new income, and so he learned a lot of things from him as well. One of the things that he learned from him, and they tell you this early on in the book, is the difference between assets and liabilities, and that this is basically the only thing you need to know if you want to get rich. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket, and an asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. And that's it. And he says if you want to be rich, reduce your liabilities and increase your assets. Those are the things you want to work towards. And it's really that simple. But what we think of as assets and what we think of as liabilities is often the problem. So people tend to spend money on things that seem like they're assets when really they're just maybe status symbols. You might view your car as an asset. And in a way it is, if it gets you to work. But it does take money out of your pocket, not just when you buy it or on a monthly basis if you finance it, but also maintenance and gas and all of the things that go into it. So, and it does depreciate in value. A lot of people look at their home as their biggest asset, and it can be, but it depends on what that home is doing for you. If you're just living in it, it could appreciate in value, but it's not directly putting money into your pocket. So is it an asset? But if you buy another piece of property and it's rental income, then in that case, that would be an asset. It's putting money into your pocket. It just depends on how the numbers work out. So they go into a lot more details about this, but that's the key concept from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So let's see. I think I just covered a few of these bullet points here, so bear with me. Yeah. Okay, so then the psychology of money is more of a deep dive into the mind of the investor. The psychology of money talks about about how we think about money. One of the points he makes early on in the book is that nobody is crazy. We all do different things with our money, but when we make a decision, we're not crazy because we're making the decision of what to do with our money based on a number of factors. The history of us, where we came from, who raised us, where we grew up, the people that we grew up around, the educational system that we grew up in, what we might have learned from those people and those systems. All of those things kind of impact us. So, and then timing, current events, news headlines, chatter around us, hype, gossip, whatever. All of those things can factor into decisions that we make about money. And although some people might make better decisions with their money than others, even the ones who are making quote unquote poor decisions with their money are not crazy, because at the time that they make the decision, they do truly believe it's the best thing for them, or at least some part of them believes it. So nobody is crazy. But how can we hedge our bets to make better decisions with our money? And the whole book just dives into a lot of like the way we think, so that we can kind of remove ourselves and get this 3,000 foot bird's eye view of what's going on in our heads and the world around us, and understanding markets a little bit better, the economy a little bit better. I'd almost say it's more of a book on the economy. It does talk a lot about economics and economic factors, but in a very broad perspective and in a way that is easy to understand, in layman's terms, very easy to follow. Especially, I love the audiobook, very easy to listen to this guy's voice. So very good at diving into important topics around money, and including long-term investment strategies. So The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, he emphasizes luck, risk tolerance, and avoiding lifestyle inflation. One of the most intriguing concepts from that book was loss aversion and its impact on decisions. So loss aversion, a lot of people make decisions with their money out of a place of fear that they will lose the money. And when it comes to the stock market, okay, there's really there's no way you can lose money if you don't sell your stocks for less than you bought them for. So what would cause someone to do that? Fear is one thing that would cause them to do that, and needing the money for some emergency or for something that came up would be another reason to do that. Those are kind of the two main things. There might be other reasons, but those are the two main reasons. So how can we avoid these? When you go to buy stocks in the first place, or invest in any market related investment, anything with any kind of risk or volatility. Sorry, I'm gonna try to shift hands here and stabilize this. I know the video's been bouncing. When you're going to make those purchases, when you're going to make those initial investments, are you in a place to be able to give up that money for the long term, like 3 years, 5 years, longer? If not, it might not be wise. If you're planning to buy a house in the next year, then it might not be wise to put a chunk of money that might be part of your down payment for that house into the stock market. Because if something happens tomorrow or next month or 6 months from now, and the market goes down, and then you have to buy a house, or you're trying to buy a house, you might need to take that money out, and you will take a loss if the market has gone down. So the key point here is not to invest money that you need or can't live without. And by taking that one action, you are avoiding having to sell from a place of fear as well. When the market goes down, it almost always inevitably goes up. I mean, historically, if you wait long enough, on a long enough time horizon, the market does always go up. So it's just a matter of how long you can wait. If you buy a share of Apple at like $100, the day before they announced the iPhone 16, let's say, and then something with their third quarter results comes out and it wasn't as expected for investors, and then a bunch of people pull their money out. And then you start watching your one little stock of apples sink, and now it's worth $90, and now it's worth $80, and now it's worth $70, and you're watching it closely every day, and it's causing you to like be really frustrated and like, oh, why did I do this? And you realize you're losing and you're on a losing trend. Then you might just pull that money out to, you know, mitigate your losses. But what would actually happen is if you just waited, it might not happen overnight. It might take months. It might take a year or more, but that stock should eventually return to at least where it was, if not exceed it. And then if you sell then, or better yet, just hang on to it and wait, because Apple's probably a company that'll be around for a really long time, it might grow even more and help you beat inflation, that kind of thing. So that was kind of the key point of the psychology of money. And there is so much more. This is definitely just touching on some of the most interesting points that I found. I am going to make a more in-depth version of this video. This is just a live, you know, kind of shoot from the hip, quick reading of my notes from these videos, but I will put something a little bit more cohesive together. I'll dive through. I'm thinking actually for the psychology of money, just breaking down every single chapter, because the way that book is written, it was like individual blog posts that he made over time, and then he fleshed them out and pieced them together into this book, which is, it's very cohesive, and all the chapters make sense. And by the time you get to the end, it comes around to things that he talked about at the beginning, and it's really great overall. So that, you know, the video I make on that book might just hit the bullet points of every single chapter, you know, kind of like the key highlights and everything that, everything that I learned from each chapter. For Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I might do its own video too, or I might combine them into something like this. But yeah, that's essentially it. I wanted to throw this out there. Just a quick live video, no editing. Again, sorry for the jitteriness. I'm here holding the phone with my hand. It's been a while since I uploaded, and making and planning videos does take a lot of time. I've had a lot going on in the last few weeks and haven't uploaded a traditional video. So I thought, hey, just wanted to reach out and let you all know what I've been up to, what I've been reading, what I've been listening to, and it's been insightful. I recommend both of these books. I recommend, if you haven't read them and you thought about reading them, get them now. I heard about Rich Dad, Poor Dad probably 10 or 15 years ago, I think. I don't even know. Like, I think I saw a YouTube video and thought maybe it was a channel. I didn't realize it was a book. Man, this is something I don't know why I put it off for so long. It opened my eyes to a whole different way of thinking about cash flow and assets, liabilities. The income that you get from your job is different than the income that you get from investments. One, you're trading time for money. One, it's you know, some degree of passivity, not totally passive in most cases, but it depends on what the investment is or what the asset is. And it's not that I didn't know these things, but just the way that it's presented really was more cohesive. It painted a better picture, almost like a better roadmap of how to get to where you want to be, right? Trying to get somewhere without having a map is really hard. We've talked about that in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People Chapter 1 summary video that I did, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. It's really hard to get somewhere without having a map, but having a map of that territory at least allows you to start making decisions in the right direction. And I think that's more true about finance and maybe business than anything else. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to start a business because I want to get rich, but it's like, but what's the roadmap? What's the real end goal? What are your reasons? What are your whys? You know, and how is that going to get you there? Like, what decisions are going to get you there? When you have a better picture of the map, you can make the decisions that nudge you in that direction. One quote I'll leave you with that stood out to me. I can't remember where I heard this, but you can't turn a ship that isn't moving. You know, so you have to at least be moving in the right direction, and then you can make these little adjustments as you go. If you like this video, then please click the like button. If you'd like to get notified about when the actual videos that I make about these books hit YouTube and upload, go ahead and subscribe. If you want to just pick up a copy of these books, I do have some Amazon affiliate links in the description below. If you click those links and choose to buy something, we do make a small commission. Probably not enough to even buy a cup of coffee, but it does help out the channel. So please consider checking out those. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.